Hello, friends. Morning. What's going on? Another day doing open world content, running around, getting heroic raid gear, and getting ready. Mythic 0. Had a pretty good day yesterday. We did some good yapping. We talked about dating ethics and strategy, maximal escape room riz. We geared up our pally, geared up our druid. Yeah, so what do we have left? There's definitely we've definitely been holding Jangbi above your guys' heads. Eventually we will get to Arcane Mage. Actually, very glad, by the way, that they changed Arcane before I learned, because would have been annoying if I was learning how to do that shit and then they bug fixed them or whatever. So I got that going for me. Oh, we got a cold brew here. Oh man, caffeine feels good. So let's see. We got our mage, our disc priest. They buffed disc priest. Oh man, today's probably a good day to play disc priest in the heroics, huh? People are probably going to be wondering about disc priest. What are we drinking? We got a triple shot black espresso, sugar free, cold brew. Mages are angry, so they'll revert the change. The thing is, they'll probably nerf Arcane or make Arcane not so good, but yeah, they'll just buff Fire. Then Fire Mage will be OP. Alright, so let's take a peek real quick. Are there any... Ooh, is this a world quest for a dragon flying? A little bit of dragon flying world quest, get a little bit of reputation in. They should just come in and get rid of another precision. Yeah. That is a little weird that they removed one and not the other. But I assume that was like a part of Arcane for a while, and people would ragey boom. Yes, we're gonna do a little bit of a sweep on our Evoker. Make sure no world quests we missing. Not that that's very important in the first place, but it's become a little bit of a ritual at this point. And then we'll maybe we'll play some Disc Priest. Am I leaning towards one or two healers? I mean, I sort of have like, the way I see it is I have like a priority list, right? So if you want like my actual analysis, I sort of like weight things based off of how likely I think it is to be meta. Right? So for example, I feel like right now, like Preservation and Shaman are the two for sure healers that are most likely to be like good in high keys. So I'll like play both of those and I'll make sure that I keep up to date, not just on like gearing them, but also how to play them, because people will ask questions and stuff about them. Then like I think there are some classes like Holy Paladin and Druid that are somewhat close, I think. Like Druid is a really good everything except for healer. And so if they end up giving Druid like some fat healing buffs because of raid in the next week or two, like Druid could definitely be just all of a sudden giga good in dungeons again. And then Paladin I think is like somewhat close to. I think Paladin's actually a pretty solid healer. And then, healers like Mistweaver or Priest, where I don't really see him being brought. Like, I'll just sort of play him for fun on the side if I feel the need, but I'm not really, like, worried about keeping them up to date. It sort of just depends on my time, right? Like, right now I'm just playing all healers because I can, because there's so much time. But once there becomes important things to do, I gotta start doing Mythic 0 sweeps and raiding and all that. And as soon as I become not able to play the game 14 hours a day, dude, what is this lag? Bro, I don't understand. All of a sudden, this just started happening with me where I just started, like, lagging my ass off while I'm dragon riding in here. I don't think it's a PC thing. It feels like video lag, though. Like, it's definitely not, like, internet or whatever. Dude, look at this. It's a goddamn slideshow. What is going on? Do I have, like, a setting or something messed up? Did I update my GPU? I don't think I've done anything. Like, I don't think I've done anything since launch. Ooh, another skywriting race? Let's go. Let's go. How's the expansion for a healer after the changes? It's alright. I mean, to be fair, like, as a healer, you don't really do anything yet, you know? We haven't really got any hard content, so we're still sort of waiting to see, but I enjoy it personally. I think some of the dungeons are alright. I think, in general, I would say class design has gotten better. Would you guys agree that, like, over the board, on average, like, of the classes you play, they're just simply better? Like, I feel like I don't really have... I'm trying to think about previous, previous expansions. Moonkin and Hunter. Okay, when I say... Yeah, okay, never mind. You guys just think about how powerful it is. I was more thinking design-wise. But, I mean, I do agree. Moonkin is dog water. Okay, so maybe not all the DPS specs, unfortunately. I guess I've heard good things about most tanks and healers. Also, this is... Okay, I'm blaming lag, by the way. I just want to let you guys know that I'm blaming lag for not getting gold on this race. This is a severe lag problem. I don't know if it's like the... I don't know, but the problem is, like, it wasn't doing this before, wasn't it? Like, I swear I was doing all these dragon races normal, like, not too long ago. Ooh, the dragon riding week aura? That's a good idea, maybe. Sometimes other people use their brains good. Biggest tip for brewmasters as a healer? You just have to heal them a lot, early and often. Brewmasters, they don't really get spiked down as easy, but they just will require more healing on average. Like with a lot of healers, for example, or with a lot of tanks, for example, you're like waiting to use your externals on them when they run out of stuff, but brewmasters, you should just use it regularly to help reduce their stagger and to allow them to, like, save their resources. Like, most tanks, like, for instance, with a warrior, you sort of, like, let the warrior do their thing, and then if they start to be in trouble, you're like, okay, send a time dial or a sack or something. But when it comes to brewmaster, like, basically just on pull, if they're, like, pretty quickly, just throw them, like, anytime your external's up. Like, you just have to give them more attention on average. What do I think is more fun-wise? I guess Chrono Warden? I don't know. I don't think they're either particularly good or bad. I think they're both kind of neat. I would say it's possible that maybe with the buffs yesterday to Flame Shaper, maybe you just do like some Omega damage engulf build. I haven't looked really too much about how that would work, but it could be the case that engulf is just way more damage now on single. What healer does the most damage? Probably Druid. I mean, especially considering Mark of the Wild. The problem is none of Druid's damage is passive, so if they have to heal... If they have to heal, then their damage falls quickly. Do I have plans to find a team for MDI TGP, or am I done with that whole thing? Unfortunately, it's not as simple as going to the team store and deciding which team I want to buy and then buying one. It's just a matter of, you know, who I'm playing with and if people want to play and all that. I will say that I'm probably very picky with regards to, like, you know, it is a massive commitment to play in one of those things, and so I wouldn't want to do it unless I have, like, absolutely the right team. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, you can't really play casually in those sorts of environments. Like, if you're playing, let's say you're practicing, like, 4 to 5 hours a day in TGP, like, you may as well just not even practice at all. Like, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but, like, you're just not doing anything if you practice 4 hours a day. Like, you may as well just not play, because you're never going to beat a team that's playing 12, and you're going to beat every other team anyway. Yeah, okay, well, it was not the Dragon Riding week, bro. I'm still lagging my ass off. It was a good try, though. Scale Commander, AUG. I actually don't know too much about the different AUG thingies. I do think AUG is pretty decent right now, though. There's a lot of people saying that AUG is just, like, super OP because the last expansion. Although, a very interesting thing to note that, what's his name said on that interview with Naguro is that he basically said, we're going to make it a point that if a class is really good, we're just going to nerf the shit out of it so it doesn't continue to be that good, which is kind of funny. I don't know if that's going to affect things. Defeat Zaydu. Where is it? I just YOLO'd into this guy. I'm not even looking. I'm not even looking. Any chance I can give you a quick 5-minute rundown of the basic rotation of Pres Evoker? 5 minutes is a bit long. I would say Pres Evoker isn't really that simple in terms of, like, being a rotation. I mean, you're basically, like, Spirit Bloom is your main AoE heal. And when you need to do a lot of healing, you're going to echo your Burden Embrace combined with your Spirit Bloom, so that you're basically, like, buffing everything with Life Bind. You want to maintain Dream Breath and Reversions often on as many people as you can, just sort of as, like, a passive hot and ways to trigger some of your talents. And in terms of single target healing, you have to be, like, more aware and situational. The most complex part with Pres is, like, how you deal with single target healing. Like, in some situations, you can use just a single target Spirit Bloom if you don't need it. In other situations, you can use something like Echo Reversion because of Grace Period. Like, if someone takes a lot of damage in a very short time. In other situations, you may have to use cooldowns, things like Rewind, Time Dilation, Emerald Communion, you know, when you're in an emergency, when you need to do single target healing. In general, the goal should be not getting caught in the loop where you're pressing Living Flame a lot. Like, you're basically just wanting to cycle a lot of your single target healing and then echoing some of your individual healing when needed. And I am working on a Pres guide as well. They made some bug fixes that somewhat impacted the rotation. That, I mean, yeah, I need to take back to the drawing board. Ain't it pointless to gear as a healer? I mean, the main purpose right now to gear is to, if you have a group, to do the highest level content that you can right away. And if you don't have a group, it's to find a group or find people. Like, for instance, I don't really think it'll make a big difference whether you're 585 or 582, but when M0s release and you're getting stacked up with every other person, those extra 3 item levels could mean being accepted or declined into groups. But in terms of like, is it pointless to gear right now because the stuff gets replaced very quickly? Yeah, basically. But let's be honest, we're all WoW players. We just gear up for fun, not for any particular reason. The LDR and HPAL rotation, what to do when not healing? I mean, DPSing, right? Maintain Consecrate. You can Holy Shock offensively. If you don't need to do much healing, a good habit to get into is Holy Shocking offensively, and then using your Wogs, the Holy Power, to heal, because you don't need that much healing. And then, I mean, you're basically just Karate Chopping, Judgment, Consecrate, Crusader Strike, Hammer of Wrath on cooldown every time they're available. A big part of your damage with Paladin is simply just going to be maintaining Consecrate and not, like, using your Holy Power properly. Do Delves give rep for first-time completions? I don't think so, but maybe. Thoughts on the OnlyFans update from Soda? Yo, what up, Tactics? Bro, that shit's so funny. My opinion is... Okay, do you... Alright, someone DM me this. I mean... I'm not trying to take their credit, but... Someone DM me this. Do you know anything about this? Is there a classic hardcore PTR right now up? I don't know if they always do this, like anytime they do classic, if they do a PTR. But if this means that they're doing something, that would be kind of fucking pog. Basically, the thing that's going to get me interested is if they do something, right? If they do, like, Hardcore Fresh or maybe some sort of update or, like, something like that, that's going to get me hooked. I don't know if I'm just going to, like, play as an add-on for fun on Horde with a bunch of Hardcore Elite people. Again, that doesn't sound too fun to me. Nothing against those guys, it's just, you know, I kind of already did that. I liked what he had to say, though. I mean, I basically agree with everything he said. I was actually glad he addressed the, well, I guess I can, slowly sum it up for people that don't realize or didn't know from yesterday. So basically we've been talking about getting OnlyFans together, but the TLDR is that the group has been slowly getting infested by people who are Omega hardcore tryhards and not necessarily, like, streamer people. But it's hard for me to comment because I'm kind of a tryhard too. But Soda Poppin basically says he wants to try on October 1st. He's strongly considering Horde. And he thinks that the guild is too sweaty. And he also, the most important thing that he addressed is it might even make the leveling worse. And he didn't really give too many details, but I think that's the big problem with playing hardcore with a bunch of nerdy people, right? Is even if they're not, like, quote-unquote in the raid, they're still just gonna be around and, like, I don't know, preventing fun moments. I don't know if that's toxic, but I do think that, you know, it would be a lot more fun if there aren't a bunch of tryhard people around. I don't know. I think I basically, I sort of wrote off OnlyFans, not because I'm worried that it's just going to be too soon with retail for me. And then there's just too many other people that want to play that I feel like it would be like, I don't know, disingenuous for me to, like, try and take somebody's spot or whatever. Like, why? I'm just going to let somebody else play or whatever. Just get Ventor and level again. I mean, look, I'm trying to play War Within. Like, I'm not sitting here looking at hardcore being like, I'm, like, bummed that they're doing this right now. Oh, October 21st. Oh. I heard October 1st. I don't know if you mistyped there, but... Oh, he did write later. Hold on, did he write another message? Either way, the later the better for me. Like, I want to be totally done with Season 1. And for me, that's going to take, like, probably at least 2 months. But we'll see. We'll see. It's something that's on the horizon for me, but I don't know. Feels like the major appeal was high stakes with inexperienced players. Well, right, exactly. Like, it's just a bunch of, like, I don't know, like, hopefully War Within goes well. I feel like War Within is being perceived pretty well. You know, maybe we get some people in, maybe people get excited. You know, maybe after a month or two they get a little bored, they decide they want to try something else. Blizzard rolls out like a fresh hardcore server. You know, that's sort of what I'm hoping. It might be a little bit of cope. But it is what it is. But I'd say Pre-Evoker is a more complex healer than Resto Shaman. Yeah, I mean, Resto Shaman's pretty simple. The only really hard part about Resto Shaman is you have a shit ton of keybinds. You have to, like, worry about all these different totems and utilities and stuff. But I wouldn't really say it's, like, complicated. Alright, well, our world quest sweep is basically done. Prez the best healer? I don't know. Prez is definitely up there. I think Shaman's good too. What's the nerf Evoker got? It was the patch before. It was the it was a bug fix in the patch yesterday or 2 days ago. The TLDR for people who are confused about the Evoker stuff or are wondering what people are saying. Here, if anyone wants to clip this or whatever, since this gets asked a lot. So this right here, after image, whenever you use an empowered spell, it shoots out 3 chrono flames, and this does like a pretty significant amount of healing and damage. So you also have this talent right here, Call of Ysera. This buffs your next living flame or chrono flame. It's the same thing by 100%. So the problem is your procs don't consume this buff. So what you would do is you would press this to get your buff right here, and then you could channel abilities and they would shoot out living flames, and every single time they would shoot out living flames, it would get buffed. And so basically what you would do is you could just do like Omega combos with Call of Ysera active and just like do these like big Flame Breath combos and Spirit Bloom and like Dream Breath, and you would basically like triple, quadruple dip and keep getting double living flames, and then you could still consume the buff at the end of it. And that was working with Life Spark as well, but this one was a lot less important. But the big one is that this would basically like triple or quadruple the healing that your Spirit Bloom would do if you were also life binding it. My favorite OnlyFans moment were when the streamers were getting level boosted by viewers, and once they left, they died within a few hours. Man, I think, honestly, I'm not really, like, I don't really watch Miskiff, nothing against him, I just, like, never really crossed paths with him. Bro, all of the Miskiff moments in OnlyFans were so fucking funny. The very beginning with Miskiff and Russell, where they were, like, where Miskiff, like, accidentally pulls, like, 50 mobs and doesn't realize it and then runs away. And then he tabs out. He literally tabs out to put on the YMCA song, like, without realizing that there's 50 mobs coming towards him. And then he just, like, tabs back in and the song just starts blasting. Yeah, young man, dude. And the whole chat is just popping off as him and Russell are just running for their lives. Oh, man, that was a classic. Also, the like him and Emmy trying to quest together was glorious. I think, I don't know, maybe OnlyFans would be really fun. Maybe if I do it or consider doing it, like try to go out of my way to duo with somebody who has no idea what's going on. It would have to be the right person, but I feel like that would be really, really funny. Someone who, like, doesn't know anything about WoW, who's, like, just getting into it, who's, like, a streamer, and we're, like, I'm, like, trying to keep them alive and shit. I feel like that would be really, really good content. How do you get 585 when Heroic drops 571? So here's what you want to do for gearing right now. Right away when you hit 80, you want to get to 551 to queue heroics, you can buy stuff on the auction house, and you can also do world quests. It's pretty simple. Once you get there, you can just spam heroics. You get 571 gear, and you can upgrade it to 580 for only Valor stones, which are infinitely farmable. And so you can get 580 in every single slot. From there, you want to take your weathered crests, the lowest level ones, and upgrade like your more important pieces. For example, your weapon, maybe like a trinket that you find, or like if you get a good socketed ring, just any like good pieces, but it doesn't really matter too much. Then from there, if you want to keep tryharding, what you can do is you can farm renown. The renown vendors for each faction have slightly better purples. You can get a chest, shoulder, and head quite easily, and then there are other stuff down the road. Also save up all your delve keys. Those will be used for gear on Heroic Week. Don't spend carved. Yeah, so the most important things you need to save, not that they're even that important, but that you would just want to save them, are your carved crests, your delve keys, and your spark. And then you'll be using those Heroic Week. Most of them right away. If you're pugging, you'll just send all those right away. But there's no rush to use them now because there's nothing to do. The best source of Valor stones. Someone said the dirt farm or whatever got nerfed. The wax or whatever. I don't know if I was like half asleep when I was reading Discords yesterday before bed. My cell puts a crazy blue glow on the flame. Yeah, someone responded to you and they were right. It's just a weak aura that you have or something. I'm like almost positive it's nothing to do with any of my add-ons or weak auras, although I could be wrong. The best thing you could do if you have no idea what it is either start disabling stuff or try and replicate it so you can see what's doing it. What do you think about the Disc Priest changes? Yeah, I mean, Disc Priest got a lot better. It's much better. They got like anywhere from like 17 to 20% AoE or atonement healing. I think they should at least be like C tier. Am I alone in feeling they stretched it too much? Yeah, it does feel a little bit too long. Would have been nice to be shorter. I'm a fiend though, so you can never have too little time gaining for me. They could have released Mythic Raid on day one, and I'd be playing. I'd be trying to rush it. Think they still stick to Void Weaver? Honestly, no idea. I would consult the Priest Discord. I don't know what the theory crafty is, but Oracle felt clunky to me as disc. That's for sure. Henatai, thank you for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. What's better, a one-hander and shield or two-hander? It's always better to have a shield because it's free armor. You have this, like, if they're the same eye level, you have the same stats with two one-handers or whatever, anything. But if you have a shield, you get free armor. So you should always prefer a shield, but you don't really need to, like, drop item levels for one. What tanks are looking juicy? I don't know. I think for me, I'm never like, oh, this one tank class is good. It's always like this player. Like, you can be on the best tank class ever. If you're dog shit, you're dead. And if you're even on a pretty shitty tank and you're playing well, you'll do fine. So from a healer perspective, it's really hard for me to judge tanks, like how good they are. I feel like I'd imagine it sort of feels the same for tanks with regards to healers, right? Like, you can play with someone playing the best healer class, but if they suck, you're just fucking dead anyway, and it sucks. But I mean, like, I'd say, like, Prot Warrior seems good, Blood DK seems good. I'd say the tanks have been liking Bear. To me, I didn't really understand Bear, but I guess they like Mark of the Wild or whatever. No crafted item? Like a spark? You shouldn't use your spark right now. That's a waste. I ended up crafting wrists, just like the cheap one. from the auction house, or the like non-spark one, just because I literally couldn't get a wrist to drop and I didn't feel like playing my Evoker anymore. I just did like 500 dungeons. And I'm just like, I don't feel like this. Like, I can't get a wrist. I have Leech on a two-hander. Should I use it instead of a shield? I wouldn't, but, you know, maybe the class discords might tell you to. In general, tertiaries are, like, really bad right now. Like, out of any, like, it's, like, less than 1% leech or avoidance or something. Like, I have leech on this item, and it literally gives me 0.4% leech. Like, leech and avoidance on every piece is so bad right now. That's a 585 without crafting. I did, like I said, I made risks, but that's it. What do I think is going to be the meta for mythic healers? I mean, I think a lot of people are going to play shaman and evoker, but it depends. You want to drop eye level from a staff? I mean, no, but I mean, you're trading survivability for healing power, right? So that can be a hard decision to make, but usually you don't want to drop item level. Sockets are better. I mean, yeah, sockets are way better. Is it a crafted ring? No, it's the ring from a meadery. I just upgraded it once, so it turned purple. Trinity, thank you for the prime. I appreciate it. Can Pally compete with Evoker and Shaman? I mean, sure. Depends on how good your team is. In game. I imported your cell settings, but it didn't change the look on my screen. Through the Wago app? What spec are you on? When you open this and then you go to layouts, what does this say right here? Whose tank advice should I follow? If you want to be tanking world verse keys, probably Yoda. If you are just like pugging and doing whatever, probably Dorky. Then you have a weak aura that displayed group cooldowns. You can use Omni CD for that. I usually just use party frames. KX Key, thank you for the prime. I appreciate it. Not to say that Dorky doesn't give good advice for high keys, but I feel like Dorky's audience is more like wide, and so he's more likely to give advice that's like more applicable to other people. Whereas I think Yoda just mostly focuses on doing higher keys and like his experience in trying to be competitive and good. Can I post more content? It's hard because I'm playing 14 hours a day. Did Captain Rogers fall in battle? So Captain Rogers basically... So 2 days ago, Captain Rogers came in and then he put a Robin in the chat like usual. And I'm like, hey, you know, whatever. We timed him out. Then, like within like 5 minutes, Captain Rogers goes on an ult and then puts another Robin in the chat. And I'm just thinking like, look, you can't just keep cycling through all your ults every day, putting Robins in the chat. So I timed him out for a week. Because I'm like, well, if you're just going to keep spam, like, the more you time out, the more you post them, the longer I'm going to time you out. Because you're not supposed to be doing it. Like, I don't really care about no Robins, but it's against the Twitch rules. So apparently that made him mad because when his other account got unbanned, he just came in here and just started spamming. He just ripped like 17 Robins in a row in the chat. He just kept spamming paste enter over and over again until I timed him out. So I timed him out again for 7 days on his other account. And so now he's a week banned on both accounts. What does a Robin even mean? Look, if you don't know what a Robin is, then just be happy, okay? Just be glad that your life hasn't gotten to that point. The thing is, it's just something that I don't even want to explain what it is out loud. If the chat wants to explain what it is, then they're welcome to, but I don't think trying to explain it out loud I'm gonna lose brain cells. All right, all right. Was just answering a question. Well, there you go. Now you know what a Robin is. All right, I kind of want to try some Disc Priest. I know I haven't thought or said that in a while, but wait, is this buffed or is the patch not in yet? Actually, the patch isn't in yet. All right, maybe I save Disc Priest for next week. We'll see how we'll wait. We'll save our priest to gear. Disc log out. I'm sure it'll be fine, but you know, just as an experiment, you know. What day is it? Is it Saturday or Sunday today? Saturday, all right. Maybe let's do the Awakening the Machine quest as a Mistweaver. It'll take like 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, look, there's been a lot of people complaining about the downtime or whatever, or how long it is until content's released. There's definitely a little bit of bias though, right? Because these are all people that are playing the game and then they get bored and then they like, what am I gonna do? Then they come to Twitch, right? Like I think all the people that are enjoying the game or doing quests or whatever are, you know, enjoying the game doing quests. They want an AP grind. I mean, I don't know. I think early access kind of wait. Why am I in Veldraken? Early access definitely was a little long. Yeah, I must not have reset my Hearthstone. That's okay. We can go on a scenic tour. Dragonflight out. Am I happy with hero talents overall? I don't know. It feels a little weird to me. Like, doesn't it feel like kind of borrowed power in a way? Like, are they really just gonna like, okay, they leave them and like now what? Like, what are they doing next expansion? You know, are there gonna be hero talents too? Like, go up the stairs. Oh, here? Is there like another portal room or something? What is this? What the? Oh, so they just ran out of room. That's what this is. They just ran out of room. And so they made another portal room up here. They give you both hero talents next X-Pack. I mean, I don't know. So there's some things I like about hero talents, and there's some things I don't. I mean, I would say I would like them to do what they did in Dragonflight with hero talents in War Within. And by that I mean very quickly start going in and reiterating on certain ideas and builds, right? Like a lot of people have hero talents where one of them is like it just feels like it's dog water and you never pick it and it's just there's nothing cool about it. And they just need to start whipping those up and then replacing them like ASAP. Like by the time the first season is over, like they already need to have like a bunch of new ones lined up. Not even new totally, but just like reworks or whatever, right? Like there are some hero talents which are just like a pure hit where it's like, okay, these two are cool. Like for instance, Shaman to me is just like absolutely perfect. There's like one that's like Resto Shaman, I mean, you know. There's like one that's like single target healing, like focused on Riptide and Surge. The other one's like Chain Heal and Totems and Healing Rain. Like both of them feel like kind of different. Like they're different choices. They're close to balanced. Shaman like owns. Like Shaman hero talents are close to exactly what they should be. I think that they need to keep doing that for a lot of the different hero talents and like keep making them better. One thing I like about hero talents, by the way, I hate to say it, but I feel like some of the talent trees, I don't really like how talent trees evolved. Is it weird to say that I like the old talents better? Am I just like a classic Andy when I say that? Like, I feel like the whole tree thing is like, I just don't really understand the appeal of it, you know? Like, for me, when it comes to talent trees feel great while leveling. Like, when you're leveling and you're just like, you're going through and you're clicking and you're like, okay, now I get this, now I get this. Talent trees feel great while you're leveling. But once you're max level, it feels like the choices are, like, I don't know. I just, like, okay, what is the benefit of these talent trees versus the old talents, right? Like, so basically when I say old talents, I mean just a bunch of choice nodes. Like, okay, here's your here's your choices, right? Like a bunch of choice nodes. Like, what's good about this? The only really good thing about this was that you could take a bunch of combos that you couldn't otherwise take before. But I think it just brought so many different problems with the game. Like, I think, for example, like defensive creep got so much worse when talents got added. Like every single class just has so much more defensive power now. I think it created these like really weird situations where you have trade-offs, and I think maybe this is a healer problem so much, but like, okay, so like this is a trade-off that I have to like that I face very, very regularly, okay? So here's a choice node, okay? Here's a choice node, okay? Choice 1, I get 1% healing power. Choice 2, randomly in a dungeon, Dorky says, "What the fuck, you don't have that," and minus 15 seconds. Like, I fucking hate this choice node. Like, this is the most annoying choice node that and it happens so often as a healer, right? Like, oh, well, you don't have Sleepwalk. Oh, you don't have this. Oh, you don't have that. And obviously, I replaced Dorky with, you know, your teammates, right? I'm not making fun of Dorky here. I'm making fun of, like, you know, I'm making fun of the situation. Like, it feels like, what do I do? Like, do I just take all the stupid utility and I just make myself weaker? Like, I hate this choice of utility versus power, right? Utility versus power. This choice I don't really like. I think it's hard on keybinds because you have to have the situation where you have a bunch of different things keybound. I think it feels bad to have to give up power. I just, in general, the talent trees pose this situation too often. Another thing that happens in talent trees is like I guess I would say dead talents or like, you know, things that are only good in raid or only in M+, but that sort of happens with the other nodes too. But I guess the purpose of those nodes isn't really choice. It's more so, the old system gave almost no build options. Sort of. But here's the thing, though, right? I think if they would have spent a bunch of love and care and worked on the old systems, I think they could have done better, right? Like, they put a lot of time and energy and work into these talents. Like, I think they could have done, if they would have done that with the old talent systems, they could have too. I definitely agree with you that sometimes in some classes it feels like, you know, there's not really much choice to be made, but you know, they could have added a bunch of really new cool nodes, right? Like, it's not so much a problem with the system, it's just a problem with the nodes that they had. Yo, Phoenix, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it, friend. And the gifted, thank you so much. Yeah, I guess to me, okay, well, like I think I guess the TLDR then is it depends on what class you play. I bet there are some classes that feel a lot better with talent trees, but like so two examples that I hate, Mistweaver's this tree. I just think there's like no builds. Like Mistweaver has no choices. Like for instance, if you want to fist weave, you literally need Jadefire, Ancient Concordance, Ancient Teachings, Awakened Jadefire, right? And it's just like there's not really any choice for any. You have to go all the way down here, and then like Shaylan's I think is like almost mandatory too with how powerful it is. So like you end up with so little choices in the stuff that you take, and you end up being split behind this weird like I don't know. Mistweaver's always had this problem. And then Druid has the utility versus power problem, right? So like if you look at Mistweaver's tree on classes, I guess okay, you can make the argument either side then that it's not necessarily to do with the trees, but just the way they're designed. So like Mistweaver's class tree is actually kind of good, but mainly because all of the utility nodes fucking suck, right? Like in the Mistweaver class tree, you can get every single thing that you want, but and then the optional nodes that you get are like all very very small, right? Things like when out of combat your movement speed is increased, you know, or roll travels a small distance further. Like these small things, if these are the things you're deciding from, I think are good. The problem becomes like when you have to take away a node that's like all healing increased by 2%. Like that fucking sucks. Like that feels so bad when you have to do that. I think Druid's a good example, but I guess you guys do have a good point that it just depends on the design, right? Like it's not so much one of the trees is better or like one thing is better than the other. It's simply just that, you know, they move the trees over and now some of them I'm unhappy with and some of them are good. I just feel these trees are a little bit too bloated. I think they're a little bit too complicated and like they're a little bit more overwhelming when you are first learning your class as well. Like Druid, for example, right? Like, let's look at the Druid tree. I know they did change it, so maybe it's gotten better. Um, Gosh, like, do I just go for, like, do I just try and get, like, improved rejuve? Rejuve increased by 3 seconds. Like, holy crap, it feels bad not to have this. Like, maybe you just don't have in-cap roar, but I mean, like, then you lose damage here. Like, it just sucks for how much you have to give up. Like, there's so many good nodes that, like, okay, for Mistweaver, I was taking nodes like movement speed increased by 5% outside of combat and all that. But like look at some of the nodes here that I'm not taking for Druid, how fucking good they are. For 15 seconds, all healing also damages a nearby enemy for 20% of healing done. Innervate. It's literally an 8-second infinite mana cooldown. All of your casted spells damage increased by 5 seconds. Increase range by all spells by 5 yards. Like, there's so many really good nodes that you just can't take as Druid. But again, I would agree with you in that it's not really the tree's fault, right? Like they just need to remove all these nodes that are too good and then buff Druid. And then I'll make like you know what I mean? Like it's almost like a first world problem or whatever. Can I get a code, bro? Y'all are so lazy. Copy to clipboard. Yeah, so I think you're right in that to say oh I miss the old trees, that's not even that, like, you know, that's whatever. It's mainly just the I might also be biased in being a content creator too. In that I just like the idea of like, do I want this or this or this? Like it's more simple, and I like the trade-offs better, but could be a healer problem. What's the fast way to farm Valor stones? You can't really farm them. I just would spam heroics. You need a lot of nodes for illusion of choice, but there's not that many unique ideas. Yeah, that's sort of how I feel, is a lot of it is illusion of choice. Like, so many of the nodes are, like, never, you would never, like, you know. Oops, I keep logging on Priest. In my head, I was gonna play Priest today, but I forgot they didn't buff them yet. Is anything to spend Valor stones on but more gear upgrades? No, I'm pretty sure that's all they do, right? But being capped isn't a bad thing. It'll be handy for next week. Or heroic week, I mean. Valor Stone uncapped. Valor Stones are uncapped, crests are capped. You are limited to how many you can gain. Well, so Valor Stones are capped in that you can only have so many, but you can keep earning them. Once you spend them, you can get them again. Whereas crests, once you spend them, they're gone. Why is being capped good for heroic week? Well, you'd rather have 0 Valor Stone, or you'd rather have 2,000 Valor Stones than 0, right? Like, you do want to spend them if you can use them to upgrade your gear, but if your gear is already upgraded, then you'd rather have 2,000 than 0. I've not spent any Valor Stones because I thought they were capped. No, 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 no. So when it comes to currencies, you can just use and upgrade literally anything you want. The only things that you need to save are your spark that you get for crafting, your delve keys, and your carved crests. And all the other stuff you can just send. Um, and all that stuff that I'm saying to save is literally only for heroic week. All right, let's see. Where did I leave off on my Mistweaver? 561? Okay, we did not get very many items. I think I just queued with some people because they were, Alliance, but then I was gearing my pally. You can just queue some heroics. Yo, Fat Zazzle, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. I appreciate it. As a returning casual player, I find the current iteration of the talent trees intimidating. The funny thing is, the talent trees, in my opinion, I think are like, how would you say? They're made for leveling. Like, if you level up your guy normally, like from level 1, and you're like, you know, introduced to the talent tree very slowly, I actually think it's not too intimidating or overwhelming or whatever, assuming that you're like taking the time to read and like see what this stuff does as you level. But if you return to a class or like boost a class or whatever, and then you load up the tree and you just have 30 points, you're just like, what the hell do you do with this? Like, it's just like there's so many different passives and interactions, and like, it turns out maybe leveling in WoW isn't useless. Is there a Sky Fury reminder? I haven't updated my reminders or whatever. I'll probably send one at some point, but I don't think it's in the pack. There's quite a few weak orders that are missing because I'm just gonna wait until like real content comes out. The stream laggy. It's like me. It's like my in-game video or something. It's fine in instances, but it's been lagging in the open world. I don't really know why. It's been lagging like really, really bad the last couple of days. Oh boy, what do we got here? Team, it appears that they've defeated the first boss and their healer has left. Update GPU drivers. Oh boy. That might be the answer. One thing I've been hearing, people hate this part. People fucking hate this part of the dungeon. See, like, I don't understand. How could we have known it was back here? Like, I thought because the guy was facing right, like, wouldn't he face the other way if it wasn't? I don't know. I guess I need to pay more attention when we're doing this. Way too often I use this as like, let me tab out and talk to my chat. I just need to pay. You can't know. I feel like there will be like patterns or whatever. And there's no way there isn't. Dude, I should just sit in here and just study it and try and figure out a pattern and just never tell anybody. That would be so sick. What's happening? Oh. I thought there was like more mobs spawning or something. See, like, I think it's like, I'm guessing there's a route that you go on. Like, you do the same route every time. Alright, I'm gonna save my team some time by clicking on this. And then... surely this will be fine. When does the real game start? The 10th, basically. Bro, I don't know. I feel like I'm even getting frame lag in dungeons. I'm about to just go restart my GPU. Or update my GPU. Like, this is even lagging in the dungeon. Gordon, I didn't thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Lock my details action track. What, like, what is this path? Why did it take us on this path? Like, we were literally here, and it just, like, what in the... Okay, I think the way that you need to... I understand now what people are doing. You just need to completely ignore the ghosts for the most part and just go on a path that hits every single one. and just like not really worry about them. Yeah, I understand now.
The Transformatory was once the home of our sacred evolution. ISO has made a mockery of our traditions, and the Queen's
5 item level, 580 eye level, probably fine. Do you have a group?
Our Queen will be so disappointed.
I mean, ultimately, you're going to replace a lot of your gear with delve gear. But if you're strictly pugging, like, you should try and work up as high as you can, because you're gonna get passed up by somebody with higher item level or whatever. But I mean, in terms of like being able to do the content, it should be fine. Novioso, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Will we get a bunch of M0 gear? Yeah, but like, depending on what level you're at, like getting into M0 will be the hard part, and doing M0 will be the hard. Like that's what there is to do next week. So. It's not next reset, it's the reset after that. You guys are losing your mind because I misspoke and said next week. I'm sorry. The next content cadence release that everyone knows when it's coming out. What eye level do real gamers have? I mean, you basically just get to 585 and then you're done. There's a limit to how high you can go. I mean, I think the highest... I think, like, if you nerd out and craft stuff and delve keys, you can get to, like, 580. I mean, 590. Yeah, I don't know. I guess after this, I'm gonna try restarting and trying to upgrade graphics drivers and stuff. Because this is, I mean, I'm lagging in dungeons. No, I don't have any profiles posted. I do have a UI pack for Patreon subs and Twitch subs, though. My chat was bugged and showed I was banned. Yep, it was bugged. Speaking of banned, I was adding some timestamps to yesterday's YouTube VOD. And my 12-hour VOD got demonetized for playing 10 seconds of a Guns N' Roses song when I clicked on a link to see what it was. Very cool. Oh yeah, that was AJ's video. Yup. In the process of seeing if I can get it muted or whatever. We'll test their stream muting features. I pressed edit video to mute an hour ago. It's still loading. The stutter lag? Oh yeah, it's infuriating. We're restarting my stream and computer and graphics drivers immediately after this dungeon.
So persistent. For you, a reward. Witness the unparalleled wonder of transformation.
Can we skip campaign on alts? Yep. I'm not sure what you mean any way to start world quests. They should just be there if you've done your campaign once. Some bots have it. You can just look under the stream, it should tell you. So I guess that does make you old. Okay. Yeah, it should post all the VOD stuff. And then what's really nice about the VOD stuff is I can like for instance yesterday we reacted to Potty C and there was that like nonsense that we had. I can always like timestamp stuff and like mark it in there and change titles, you know? So like let's say you're like bored and I'm offline but you want to watch a VOD, you can like look and be like, oh what the like this VOD actually had something in it. Like there's some shit here I should click on. It's actually so much better for VOD libraries than Twitch. Okay, so I am lagging. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna do like close everything and then update my graphics drivers and then restart my computer and take a walk and recover mentally from what's going on. So I will be back in a few. BRB, I apologize for the thing. Not veg.